This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
The judges and the guest house, a good afternoon. My name is Namuli Daniela from the negation side. Witness, are you of the view that military interventions only include war and armed attacks?
No.
Are we really going to, can you force someone who is not ready to talk to you and solve something peacefully?
No.
Are there situations where diplomatic negotiations and peaceful dialogues have failed to work?
No.
Are you of the view that peaceful dialogues and diplomatic negotiations reconcile nations?
Yes.
Thank you. I asked a dear witness if they are of the view that military interventions only involve war and armed attacks. They said no. Their third speaker came and told us that the infrastructure is going to be spoiled. The country is going to run into infrastructure delay. But they also came and said that military interventions only don't include war. There are other forms of military interventions, including incapacitating the weapons of another state, hacking them and disenabling military weapons. By this, how is infrastructure being spoiled? We are saving lives at the same time and infrastructure. If we do this and the country, if we involve peaceful dialogues and the country refuses to listen to us, and we do this, aren't we saving lives and saving infrastructure? But if someone refuses to listen to us and we are still resorting to peaceful dialogue, is this working? No. And I also asked them, are we really going to talk to someone who is really not ready to talk? They said, no, we can't do that. Let's give an example of South Korea and North Korea. Both the leaders were not ready to listen, and lives were being lost because of the border conflict. Were we going to force countries that were not ready to resolve to diplomatic negotiations and peace dialogues to talk? And yet people's lives are being lost? No, we had to involve the military, so that by the end of the day, these countries solve this issue, and they know once we are incapacitated of the military weapons and we can no longer fight, now we can sit down and solve this issue. But if we do not involve military interventions, they are going to keep on fighting since they do not want to talk. But if they reach a point and they know that we cannot finish this war, then how are they going to accept to sit down? I asked them if there are situations where diplomatic negotiations and peaceful dialogues have failed to work. They said no. But I'll give an example of the Versailles Treaty, which was signed in World War I to end it, between Germany, where Germany was removed off all its territories and it was demilitarized. What did Germany do? It became angry and instead went to form up more weapons to come up, and which led to World War II eventually. Did the peaceful dialogues and diplomatic negotiations solve this? No. Then what should we do? Should we sit down and force a country that was once told to sit down and resorted to these peaceful means and it refused? Should we force them the second time and watch people's lives lost again? No. We should involve other means other than prioritizing something that is not clearly working. I asked them, are you of the view that peaceful dialogues and diplomatic nations reconcile nations? They said yes. But then I refer you again to the German World War I issue. Did it reconcile the nations? No. They instead got at war. German got angry and it did not reconcile any nations. So if it did not reconcile a nation, that means German necessarily wanted to go into war. It did not resolve any conflict. So are we still going to sit on, watch on as people's lives are being lost just because we want to prioritize peaceful dialogues and diplomatic negotiations? We shan't do that. As we, the negators, we stand on our strategy and say we should let the circumstances determine either we use diplomatic negotiations or peace dialogues or military interventions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, panel of jury. Allow me ask the negators some questions, and I expect only a yes or no answer from you. Do you know what military intervention is?
Yes, I do.
Do you understand the term to prioritize?
Yes, I do.
Is the military going to intervene even in cases where the conflict has just started?
Pardon?
Is the military going to intervene even in cases where the conflict has just started?
No.
Is there a difference between conflict and war?
Pardon?
Is there a conflict between conflict and war? Is there a difference between conflict and war?
Yes.
Did your speaker talk of Article 42 or Article 41 of the UN Charter?
Pardon, I request you to be more clear.
Do you know what a war is?
Yes, I do.
Did your speaker speak of Article 42 or Article 41 of the UN Charter?
42.
Do you agree that there is a conflict at a younger stage?
Yes, I do.
Does military intervention resolve international conflicts?
Yes, it does.
Thank you so much. Panel, allow me inform you that the negators have failed to understand what military intervention is. They're coming here and they keep on telling us about World War I. World War I, they have first of all failed to tell us how their military intervention is going to resolve the conflicts. Because the end goal in our resolution today is to resolve international conflicts. And Panel, they have failed to give us. Panel, another thing, I've asked them if they understand the meaning of prioritize. They have told me they have understood the meaning, but they have failed to show us that they have understood the meaning of prioritizing. By prioritizing, we mean bringing something first. And that is what we as the negators are doing. We are prioritizing peaceful negotiations and diplomatic negotiations and peaceful dialogues to resolve our conflicts. We have told them time and time again that our policy is going to be enacted immediately. That means as soon as we identify a conflict, we are going to calm down. We have even given the steps that we are going to take in order to resolve this conflict, which are to prepare. Therefore, there is no way we are going to prepare very well and bring to table states that are still having grudges against each other. We are going to discuss before we bring them onto table to start the actual negotiation. Therefore, we're going to bring countries onto table when they have realized that their conflict is not so big an issue that should go to the next level. We are preventing the conflict before it reaches another level. We are preventing the conflict before we start exchange of arms. And therefore, that's why she talked of our third speaker, talking of destruction of buildings. We gave this in the event of actual conflict, which we, as their farmers, have said that we are not going to give room for. We're not going to give room for actual conflict to take place because our policy is starting to be enacted immediately with immediate effect. Their farmers have failed, the negators have even failed to give us how beneficial their military interventions are over our peaceful dialogues. Sincerely, they know very well that military interventions cannot give us an everlasting solution. We are talking of resolving international conflicts, but the negators have failed to give us how their military interventions are going to resolve the international conflicts. They're talking of circumstances. Which circumstances are you talking about, dear negators? I have failed to understand which circumstances you're talking about, whereby you will implement your military interventions. The negators should come here and give us the circumstances where they want the interventions to be applied. They should come here and tell us how beneficial the military interventions will be towards resolving the international conflicts. I do not understand why the negators know the difference between conflict and war. I've really failed to understand that fact. Our resolution is clearly telling us international conflicts, and they're coming here to give us the Versailles Treaty of World War I, of which, now let me ask for the negators. Did military interventions work in the resolving of World War I? No, they did not. And therefore, you cannot come here and tell us that military interventions, you're going to prioritize them. First of all, you have not even told us that you're going to prioritize them. You're just telling us that you're implementing them in the event of a circumstance which you, our dear negators, have failed to give us.
It's been a very close round. I will appreciate both the knowledge that has been given to us, the research that has been done. Both of you people had enough content. I also appreciate style. You know, having mastery at delivery is something that bedevils many that step on that stage. But when you step on that stage and you show calmness and composure, and you can deliver qualitative argumentation without being disturbed by POIs or over-gesticulating or even diverting from your speech, I particularly like that. I would like to thank the fourth affirmer and the first negator. Your style was quite crisp. To go into the debate itself, I would like to say that whereas the previous debates, the quality of debate deteriorated, here the quality of debate seemed to sway a bit on either side. For example, team affirmative, you started very low and you went up. Team negative started very high, went low, and again finished on a high. Number one, I would like first speakers, second speakers, third speakers, do not leave your fourth speaker with such a heavy role to fulfill. I would have liked team negative to hear the methods or the test you're going to implement to make sure that the war or the military conflict that you are going to put in, when is it going to be justified? I was hearing that from the fourth speaker. Fourth speaker, team affirmative, she also came here and was giving us a different interpretation, a much bolder interpretation of the word conflict. She's the one who only came and said, you know what, a conflict does not entail war. First, a farmer, come and tell us that, you know what, let us dissect the meaning of this. That is your role. Failure to do that, we treat the rest as inconsequential.
So for me, this was a very good debate. I was engaged, and like the previous judge said, it was generally a very good debate. But moving into the debate itself, Team Affirmative's argument and strategy was that they will always put up with peace talks. Now, fourth Affirmer came up and stated that, no, we are going to prioritize peace talks. Always, there is a difference between we shall always have peace talks and we shall always prioritize peace talks. So fourth Affirmer came up and informed us that no, for us, we are always going to prioritize the peace talks over. Then when peace talks fail, she referred to Article 42 of Team Negative, that is when, as the United Nations Security Council, they shall revert to military interventions. Speaker roles are not hereditary. What the fourth Affirmer did should have been done from the first speaker to the fourth speaker. But it is only the fourth Affirmer that brought it up. In a way, Team Negative could have never rebutted that. She came up and showed you, no, there is a huge difference between a conflict and a war. And today we are supposed to be debating about conflicts. That is why we are coming up with what? With peaceful dialogues. But Team Negative had already swayed you to their side. They brought war, and all of you just started discussing war and debating war.
So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. For the first time I've been judging a debate, I've enjoyed writing almost 5 pages. I've never done this. That means there was content in both teams. I want first of all to thank the whole board teams, because what you are discussing today, when I was setting this resolution, I favored more in international law. To those who are going to pursue law, you're going to meet this course unit by the time you are in second semester on your third year. A very hectic course that most people have to retake. A very hectic course that gives even lecturers hard time to decide which one is the best, which one is the good. And that one also comes back to this bench as the final judge. Today, as a final judge, I want to acknowledge all teams. To me, really, all of you are winners. But because we have to underline who will now take the day and have the better half of it, we have to bring this judgment unto you. Team Affirmative. One thing I have to tell you, I will question all of you, that in a case where teamwork lacks and we see the team captain coming at the last moment to take the last penalty, sometimes you have left a big burden to that captain. One, he has a probability of taking that penalty out. He has a probability of taking that penalty in. But remember, you have already lost like 3 penalties. Question goes back again. Now, will the team negator score the 3 penalties? Strategy-wise, ladies and gentlemen, Rubaga girls, you were top-notch. Your strategy was good. I liked it and I was like, no, they are going away with this. But you see, it comes back to your fourth speaker. Today, if you're going back to school, that girl, get a bottle of soda with a big bread and tell her thank you for whatever you have done to us. Are we together? If you have no money, I'll give it to you. Guys mentioned about Article 41. There is what we call and weigh in a debate that as much as you're reading an article, some technicalities and regularities have to be read as a whole. In law, we call it the mischief rule. We have 3 rules: the mischief rule, the globe rule, and the understanding, the critical understanding. At times when we are reading something, we have to read it as a whole and interpret it as what? As a whole. When I'm going to read the article of a constitution as article number 1, the supremacy of the constitution, I have to read part and parcel of article part 2 to give me the gist and understand very well what was article part 1 in favor to article part 2. This one I credit the first negator who came and gave me as a whole. That's what I was expecting and wanted to listen. He was like, as much as we are reading Article 41 of the UN Charter, the next thing we have to read Article 42. In strategy, ladies and gentlemen, you got a full percentage of me. Strategy. Complete. But listen, speaker roles are never coherent. The moment your first speaker doesn't give me what he has to say, listen, it goes like that. They came and mentioned fallacies of war. You people, we are talking about conflict. No one came to rebut. Being an affirmative, you have the burden to make a point, a proof. That is your burden. You like it or not. I always tell people, if you fail as an affirmer, it's because you have wanted by yourself. Because for you, you're just affirming. This is the issue. That is your burden. So, because of those grounds, ladies and gentlemen, I feel even shaking because I know how it feels. Because of those grounds, I credit Team Negators with a 69% and a 68% on Team Affirmative. It's of all those grounds, I think it's not a unanimous judgment. It's 2-1. The Team Negators have the day. Thank you so much. God loves you.